Hello, Pop Toogie. I found your boat. Maybe you want some candy or some popcorn. You can come down here and play. We all float down here. We all float down here.
Hello? Is anyone there?
Hello, Pop Toogie. I found your boat. Maybe you want some candy or some popcorn. You can come down here and play. We all float down here. We all float down here.
Hey, what's up everybody? Today's tutorial is going to be about camera focusing and using the opacity to transform your character or to have them fade in and out, just like in the intro video. And also I just wanted to really tell you real quickly that if you haven't seen my other video that was live stream on June 8th, it tells you how I created Pennywise from my character. So I started with my base character, my avatar, and then this is just a progression of how I started drawing him. All I did was rechange the artwork, and when I do that, and you guys can do this too, you can even use my free character and do this. So here's my free character, and you can follow along that old video and just change the characters look more like your artwork. And also, when you do this with my character creator, just to let you know, all of the actions and pre-made animations are still in there. So if I go to Pennywise, this last one, I didn't have to re-rig it or anything. I just changed the artwork, and if I go to frame 1, go to my actions, and select walk and paste, you'll see that he has the walk action or walk cycle in it. And I also really wanted to say really quick that somebody asked me, well, how do you get the characters to move if your animations are stationary? So let me hide these other guys real quick. So this walk cycle has a specific position that it's set in, and we want to be able to make him move around on the stage and do all that kind of stuff. So what you have to do is just create a new group folder, and I'm just going to call it Pennywise Movement, and then I'm going to drag and drop the character in there. That way we can actually just grab this folder and start moving the folder around. So if I go to frame 1, move the folder over, and then go forward in the timeline and move that group folder over, make this linear. Then the character, you can move him around and have it look like he's walking. Ooh, his walk cycle is really bouncy. Hold on. Let me go into that really quick. I think I need to change that. Windows, actions. Let's just take a look at his walk. I think I have him bouncing too high. Let's go to this frame where he's going upwards and move him down some. There we go. And then I'll copy and paste the bounce here. Go back into the timeline. Delete this copy of the walk. And I'll do a new one. There we go. Now he's not bouncing so much. So I just wanted to point that out to you, any of you guys who've gotten the character creator. That's how you move the character around. And yeah, if you have any other questions or any problems with that character, let me know. and I'll fix that for you. Let me go. I'm just undoing. I'm going to go back to where he was standing by the other ones. So yeah, here's the progression of the character. And again, just go ahead and watch that old video. But I'm going to show you really quick one of the last things that I did. You'll notice this last Pennywise has got a lot of shading on it. He's got a lot of wrinkles on his outfit. He's got lines in his hair, some wrinkle lines on his forehead. And I really wanted to cover that real quick with you guys because I think that's something that you could use in your characters. So let's actually, I'm going to open the second one, Pennywise. So I haven't added any shading to this character yet. And I'm actually going to just go to frame 0. Move him over. So what I do for shading is we'll start with his hair. I'm going to go into his hair layer, which is under the face and hairstyles, Pennywise hair. So right now he has, I think he has the hair color style. The reason there's so many styles in here is because I imported 3 different characters and I didn't rename them, so it's going to be difficult. Let's find the right one. Hair color. Oops, let's do the first one. I'm just trying to find the right hair color style. That one. I think we just tried that one. Oh, there it is. Okay. So here's the hair color style, and I can change it however I want. But now I want to add some shading. So I'm going to create a new style, and I'm going to hit A to add points. And we're going to go into the hair, and I'm going to click on his hair and draw some shading. So real quick, just this kind of triangle shape. Curve these out. I'm going to hit U, select the triangle, and make sure I have fill selected. And then I'm going to hit black. Oops. Or I'm sorry, hit spacebar, or if you're in MOHO 12, hit create shape. We'll just click create shape. And where is it? Fill. Oh, we have it set to hair color. Let's turn that off. So we'll go none. Let's do that again. Create shape, and now it fills in black. But we don't want it to be black, we just want it to be shading. So I'm going to hit Q and select it. And then under the fill button, we'll click that, and we're going to turn the opacity down to maybe 50%. Or alpha 50. And then hit OK. And then we're going to rename this Shadow. So we're going to go Styles, New, Shadow. Okay. And then I'm just going to go ahead and add more shadows along the hair. So I'm going to hit A. I'll go ahead and draw some new points for the shading. Curve these out. Hit U. Select the line that I just created. If it doesn't fill in with checkered, that means it's not going to fill. So we're missing this point right here. So I'm going to hold Shift down. Select that last one. You can see it's checkered. I'll hit spacebar or create shape. And that's because we just did shading, or we created that new style. It's actually, when I click off of it, it's actually going to just change it to that style. So we'll go ahead and do some more. I'm just going to draw a couple really fast, just so you guys get the idea. I don't want to spend too much time on it, because I know you want to see the other stuff. Like that. And then hit U. I'm going to go ahead and fill these in. Spacebar. Spacebar. That one's missing that last point, so I'm going to have to hold Shift down and grab that last point. And you know it's valid if it has the checkered fill in it. So spacebar. And we can go around the whole hair doing that. I can go into the face. So let's find the head. I'll do the same thing. I'm just going to draw a box. We'll make these his head wrinkles, forehead wrinkles. I'm just drawing a box. I'm just adding points And hitting G, grabbing those, and then curving those out. So the reason I'm showing you guys this shading is because you can then change your colors without having to recolor the dark parts or the shading areas. Instead of using a different color, all I have to do now is go into hair. If I wanted his hair to be a different color, and I think this is the one. Yeah. Now when I change his hair color, it still has that shading in it, and you don't have to redraw any new kind of shadows or anything like that. So it's really, really useful. The exact same thing goes for highlights. So if I want to, let's come in here and do some highlights in the hair if we wanted to. So we'll go back into hair. Where is his hair? There it is. I'm going to hit S. Or actually, let's go ahead and do another shape. So I'm just going to do a shape here. And I'll hit U. I'm going to select that shape. I'm going to hit spacebar or create shape. And we're going to turn off shadow. We're going to say none. None. And then we'll click on the fill color, and right now it's set to the same, the dark black opacity. We're going to go white and hit OK. And we'll leave the transparency about that the same value. I'll go ahead and move this around so this can be right next to the shadow. And you can fine tune and tweak things. And we'll rename this new style. We'll call this highlights. Now when I draw a new shape and then hit U and fill it, and now it's going to have the highlight that I've made. And again, move this stuff around. This is real sloppy, but you guys will get the idea. So now, well, let's go into his nose. Let's draw a shape. That's going to be the highlight. Curve that out. And when I render it, you can see his nose had a little shine to it. His hair has highlights. And again, if you change the color of the hair, there's way too many. The highlight and the shadows will stay the same. So I just thought that was really something cool that you guys should kind of check out. Instead of having to recolor a lot of stuff, you can just use this kind of style technique, I guess, to do that. And I think that's it for the shading. So that's all I did. Let's turn these other characters back on. And move him back into place. So that's all I did for the final Pennywise. All of these little wrinkles in his outfit, his little puffy shoulder, arm, sleeve, and his little, whatever you call this, kind of clown dress or skirt thing. And all of these details in his face, the shadow on the side of his head and his hair, are all just shadows or shading that I've added to the character. So even if I recolor this character, let me see which character that. Nope, that's the main one. That's the second one. Oops. I'm trying to find this last character. No. This is why you have to rename your styles when you save characters, because these all are named the same thing. There we go. So you can see if I change his shirt color, it's still got all that shading on it. And I could do that with the entire body. I could change his skin color and everything else and still have the shadows. So something really cool I thought you guys should check out. Okay, so now we're going to create a scene from start to finish and showing you how to use that focus and unfocus. And I wanted to do the entire thing just so you guys can see my animation process. So I'm going to start by importing my characters. So I'll go to Import, Anime Studio Object. I'll grab my character, put him in here. I'm also going to create a group folder. Again, this is for the movement. Drag and drop him in there. Movement. Pop2gi. That way I can grab the folder, move him off to the side, and when we use our actions, we won't have to worry about where the placement is. I'll go ahead and import Pennywise, Anime Studio Object. We'll just use that last file I was using. Open Pennywise 3. That's the character that we'll use. And there he is. And let's go ahead and do a movement folder for him too. Group, drag and drop, Pennywise movement. Changing the point of origin just so it's a little smaller again, easier to move around. And then I'm also going to import a picture that I found online. It's from Unsplash. And for those of you who don't know what Unsplash is, that's a place where you can find free photos to use. You don't have to credit the photographer, but I would advise doing it just to give them a shout out, let people know where you got it from. So I'm going to use this picture of a sewer because it fits with the Pennywise theme, the It theme. I'm going to squish it a little bit too. And this is a photo by a guy named AJ Colores. And if you go on Unsplash and just check him out, it's AJ Colores. He's got a bunch of photos, and you can, again, there's hundreds, if not thousands of pictures that you can kind of check out and see. And we'll put that on the bottom. And I'm going to go through some of the animation process with you. So I'm going to go into my character. I'm going to create a walk cycle for him, but even though I have an actions to make him walk already, I want him to be kind of scared. So just from start to finish, I kind of want to show you how I make this. So I'm going to, I think that's probably the right size. Make him a little bit bigger because we want him in the foreground. And I also, let's go ahead and make him kind of have a scared walk cycle. So I'm going to go to frame 1. I'm going to hit Z, and I'm going to place his legs in the scissor position, just away from each other. And since he's scared, he's not going to have the regular walk with his arms, so I'm going to put his arms up. And maybe change his hand position. Let's see. I think... we'll use that. Was that his original position? No. Okay, so we've got that pose, so I'm going to hit Command A to select all of his bones, Command F to freeze them all, and I'm going to do the same on frame 24. A, Command F. So we have the same position on frame 1 as we do on frame 24. Frame 12, halfway through, I'm going to grab his feet and swap them. Swap positions. And maybe put them a little closer together. And his hands I'm just moving a little bit because I don't, and I'm going to have him bend over just slightly. And then I'll Command A, select all bones, Command F, freeze them, So he's kind of shuffling instead. He's not going to be lifting his feet up really high just because he's kind of scared and going slow. So frame 6, the front leg's going forward, so we're just going to bend it slightly. Let me move that out of the way. Bend it just a little bit. And put his back foot straight down. And move his foot a little bit. Maybe move his head just a tiny bit. Then we're going to do the same for 18. We're going to have the back leg bend a little bit. Front leg is straight down. Move his body just a little bit. So we'll freeze that. Let's move his arms on 6 and 18 a little bit. And because we have frame 1 and 24 the same, they always go back to the same position. So he's kind of creeping now. I'll go ahead and select those first keyframes, or keyframes on frame 24, and right click and cycle them relative to playback, and I'm going to go to frame 22 because we don't need frame 24 and 1 repeating themselves. So he's kind of shuffling along. I'm actually going to go into my actions, and under his face, click on face, click worried, and add that face in. So his face is gonna look like he's more scared. Actually, let me take these frames out. From frame 1, I'm gonna have it just go directly like he's scared. And also, while I'm on here, I'll go to the face bone layer, and I'm gonna change his mouth. I think I have kind of a scared mouth. I can maybe do ooh. There's one frowning. We'll have him like kind of biting his lip like that. And let's move his eyes forward too. So now we've got a walk cycle, and he's walking, and he looks a little scared. He's walking way too fast though. So here's another little trick or a tip for you guys. I always create a walk cycle in 24 frames, but if we click on this, we want him to walk a lot slower. So let's go ahead and highlight and grab all of the frames, and I'm going to hold Option down. Now when I hold Option down and grab that last keyframe and pull it, it just stretches out the space between the keyframes, which in turn makes the character walk slower. Like that. So same thing, hold Option down, compress the keyframes. Instead of 24, we go to, 12. Then he's he's shuffling along, but we would use that for a run cycle. So again, hold the Option down. We'll stretch it out to where we think it looks good. I'm gonna go to 42. That looks pretty good. So I'm gonna go back to frame 0. Now, selecting the movement folder, we're going to place our character off screen, and he's walking in place, so we're going to have him walk onto the screen. I'm going to go up to 132 and then drag him over. We're going to have him stop about here because we want Pennywise to appear in the background, right in the middle. So let's see how slow he's... Now he's gliding because I'm moving him too fast. So let's move him close to the edge of the screen. And then this last keyframe for the movement. I want to see some more of the timeline, so we'll hit the minus magnification glass. And let's go ahead and extend the animation to 1,000 frames. So I'm going to type in 1,000. That way it highlights it all in blue down here. And we'll grab that last frame and we'll pull it over to 216. And let's see how. Still walking pretty fast. Let's go 336. his color change. His shoes are changing color because of the color style. That's good enough. We'll just leave it like that for the animation for the tutorial. Oh, and right-click the first keyframe and do linear. The reason why it looks weird too is because he starts slower and it ends up going faster. Now see, that's way too low. I should have compressed it a little more. Let's go back. Kind of got a limp going on there. That's good. Good enough. Let's zoom back into the timeline so we can see everything that's going on. Have him walk up and then right. Here. A little bit after, we're going to go ahead and I'm going to go back to Window, Actions, and Default. Default's just going to set him back into his original position. And he moved because, again, the actions are according to positions that were done when I created them. So all we need to do is select this keyframe transition, delete that. Is that the right one? No. Oh, this one right here. Delete that. Okay, now he went back into his default position. What I did was I went to the layer transition and deleted the keyframe, the last keyframe, so it doesn't shuffle back down to the bottom. So he goes back there, but he's still swaying because we have that animation in there and it's still looping. So let's go back to where he stops right here. And I'm going to do Command A, Command F, and that's going to freeze all of the bones. So he stops. Now I'm going to go back, do a little facial animation. I'm going to go through the timeline. Let's close the actions. I'm actually going to go into his face. And in here, I'll have him blink, so I'm going to click on my blink bone. Use my arrow keys, go forward 2. Have him blink, go forward to have him open, go back to, click on the eye position to create a start frame, and then when he opens his eyes, we'll have him look up so he's kind of freaking out. We'll do it again right here. Start position for blink, 2 frames forward, blink, 2 back. Then I'm going to go back, just click on the eye position and move the eyes down. And if you're not used to using Anime Studio, what I'm doing is adding starting keyframes and ending. So if I were to just want him to, like if I wanted him to blink right here, and I just closed his eyes, what's going to happen is it's going to animate from here, from 121 all the way to 146, really slow. So if I play that, see his eyes slowly close. So you want to have a starting position. So what I'm doing right here, I click on it and don't move it, and then go forward maybe a couple more, and then blink, go forward, and then open them. That way your timing is much better. This problem you might have a lot when you're starting to animate in Anime Studio. You'll notice your character floating around a lot. That's because you don't have a starting position. So just something to keep in mind. And same thing with the eye. If I want his eye to move right after the blink, I need to click on it and then move it right here. And it should take just a second for him to look up. If I didn't do that, the last time I moved his eye position was right here on 121. If I move it when it's over here, you'll see that it moves. I actually like that though. You can see his eye slowly moving behind him, so I'm going to leave it like that. But just something to keep in mind when you're doing animating in Anime Studio or MOHO. Now, something else I want to do is I want him to kind of shake because he's kind of scared. So, we'll go back all the way to frame 1. I'm going to click on his bone layer, hit B, click off of him so it's not, all of the bones get unselected. And we'll go ahead and grab this torso bone. And see this rotation? I'm actually going to right click on it and say noisy. And that's going to make this bone wiggle just randomly. But we don't want it to be that much because it just looks crazy. And we need to do it on the other cycle keyframes. So let's go ahead and put noisy. Make sure we got all of those selected. I'm going to turn the amplitude down to 0.001. And maybe turn the scale down to 0.001 also. See what it looks like. You can't even... Yeah, it's hard to tell. Let's turn up the amplitude a little bit. Let's do 0.003. Maybe turn up the scale, 0.02. We're really going to see it when he stands still, so let's go up here. Oh, this is something really, really great that you guys should know also, is if you're in the timeline and you want to just kind of check one part of your animation, let's move this over. If I hold Option down and click in the timeline on the blue part, oops, that's not what I wanted, is a Command, I'm sorry. So I'm on a Mac, so I'm holding Command and hit left clicking. This is where it's going to start. If I hold Command and right click, that's where it's going to end. So when you hit play, it's going to just cycle in between those two little temporary holding positions. And let's go, I'm going to move this down a little bit. Let's add some noise here to his hip bone. See, that's way too much. So let's go ahead, 0.002. That's pretty good. 0.002. You see how he's kind of wiggling just a little bit? Let's maybe make it just a little bit more. Let's do 3 or 4. There we go. That looks good to me. So see how he's kind of shaking? We'll go ahead and 0.004 and 0.05. We'll put that in the walk cycle. 0.004. Scale 0.05. There. So now we have our character walking. Oops. Got to take those temporary holds on. So just click on them again and they'll disappear. Or with the command. So let's go back to frame 0. Have our character kind of creeping in. And I know that this video is extremely long, but that I really I want to show you guys how I animate through the whole process. Because so many people ask me, even with something pre-rigged and with pre-made animations, it still takes a long time. So alright, now we have our character walking in and kind of shaking when he stands still. Perfect. That shoe thing's bothering me, so let's... I'm just going to go real quick into his shoes. And under... delete unused. Let's find that shoe accent and delete that color change. shoe color. I think that should do it. I think it should be good. Let me see. Even though his shoe's off camera, it's still bugging me. Okay, now it's good. Nope. There it is right there. What? Okay. Let's shoe color. Accent. There it is. Let's erase those. Okay, now it's gone. Sorry, that was just bugging me. Now let's check out Pennywise. I'm gonna make him float, because you know that saying from the TV show or the movie is they all float down here. So we're gonna go into Pennywise now, and I'm gonna make an animation for him. Let's hide my character for a second. And we're going to make him float. Let's move him in the center real quick. Oops. Go under Pennywise, and I'm going to make a cycle for him floating. This is the same exact principle as walking. We're going to go to frame 1. I hit Z. And kind of put him in a position where he's kind of hanging. So his legs are kind of dangling. That's why I'm pointing his feet down. I'll do a Command A, Command F to freeze all the frames. Go to 24, Command A, Command F, same thing. 12, we're gonna grab his layer, entire layer, have him float upward. I hit Z, grab his feet so they kind of point down even more, like he's being forced up. Like that. I'm gonna kind of move him a little bit. I'm gonna copy this position where he started, Command C, Command V on 24, so he goes back down to the same exact place. And frame 6, I'm just gonna move his legs together a little bit. And his arms. This is creating just a little bit of movement. Then when he comes down, on 18, we'll have his arms come out a little bit. And maybe bend his legs. And make his feet come up a tiny bit. This is just going to make the illusion of floating up and down. And I'm going to Command A, Command F on all the keyframes. 6, 12, and 18. I'll cycle them all. Right click, drag, cycle, relative, and to 22. Again, we don't want frame 1 and 24 to repeat. So, oh, didn't cycle the layer transition. Gotta do that too. Cycle. That is way too fast. So we're going to do the same exact thing we did for the walk. Grab the keyframes, hold Option down, pull them out. We're going to go to 96. That's still way too fast. Oh, I didn't grab that bottom one. Let's grab that. Grab all these frames. There we go. Okay. So all this time, and now we're finally going to get to the actual tutorial of fading him in and out. So I'm going to go back to frame 1. And turn on my character. So this is the tricky part with opacity and layer effects in Anime Studios. You can't see them until you render it out. So I'm going to go to frame 1. I'm going to resize Pennywise with the group folder and put him back in the sewer back here. And there he is floating. But we don't want him to be visible right at the beginning. We want him to fade in after my character walks by him. And we need to put him behind, as he should be. Right there. So, first thing, actually, let me show you the blurring. I am going to put Pennywise and the background in another group, so we can fade those out. No, I don't want to do that. We'll just do them separately. Frame 1. So in order for this to work, you have to double click. I'm going to click his entire folder, the movement folder, and make sure you have Allow Animated Layer Effects checked. If you don't have it checked, it's not going to work. So you make sure that's checked. And then under opacity, I'm going to type in 0 and hit apply. That's going to make him disappear. And let's also make it blurry. We're going to blur this. Let's do 8 and apply. And you'll see there's a little blurred icon down here and a transparency or opacity keyframe down here. For the photo, I want to blur the photo too. So I'm going to double click it. Again, make sure Allow Animated Layer Effects is clicked or it won't work. And we're going to blur the radius to 8 also and apply. So with the photograph, you don't see anything different. It looks exactly the same, but if I do a Command R and render it, it's actually fuzzy. And to show it even more, let's go ahead and blur this more. We're going to go to blur to 15 and apply and then render. And hopefully you guys can see, but now it's a lot blurrier. Is that a word? And let's go crazy. Let's do a real high blur. We'll do 40 and apply. If I Command R, very blurry now. And we might actually use something that blurry. So let's actually make it about 30. So we can kind of see that it's a sewer. Apply that. And then we're going to go forward in the timeline. And let's have Pennywise fade in now. So we're going to, right about here, when our character's passing the center, right about here. Let's double click Pennywise's layer. And under opacity, let's go ahead and type in 1. You have to type in something, otherwise it won't create a keyframe. If you type in 0, it won't do it. So we'll do apply. And it looks like he just popped in. And you see the keyframe there. But if I do Command R, his opacity's at 1. You can't even see him really. So let's, even though he's there, you can't see him really. And then by the time the character gets to right about, right here, 186. Let's double click. Now make the opacity. Let's go ahead and turn that up to like 90 and apply. So from 159 to 190, he's actually going to fade in. And we'll go ahead and let me render that real quick. So we'll go to from 150 to 195. So I'm going to go to File, Export Animation from frame, what'd I say, 150? 150 to 195. And we'll do it at half resolution so it goes faster. I'll hit OK. I'm going to call it Fade In and save it to the desktop. And I'm just doing this so I don't have to render the entire animation. I just want to see if Pennywise actually just shows up the way I want him to. So at the beginning it looks really weird, But now, check that out. I think that's pretty cool. So just like in a real camera situation, or you know, the focus is on the main character in the front, and then Pennywise kind of shows up right there. Yeah, that's pretty good. So now, and you can go ahead and pull these keyframes anywhere. If you want them to fade in a little slower, we can, right when the character stops, we'll have them fade completely in, so I'll just drag this over. And I'm going to continue to make this entire animation, but now we're going to do the switch, the swap. So this is like if you've seen in TV shows or movies, the character's focus, or even on your phone, you know, it's focusing on you, but then it focuses on somebody in the background. This is to simulate that effect. So I'm going to have Pennywise laugh. I'm going to go right where he stops, a little bit past. I'm going to import audio. And, oh man, where did I put it? Sunday tip. I'll just put in this laugh. So when he laughs, we're going to change the focus from my character to Pennywise and the background. So extremely simple. I'm sure you guys have figured that out by now. So frame 232. We need a starting transition. So let's go to 228. I'm gonna double click on Pennywise. The blur radius, I'm gonna type in 8 again. That's what it is originally. Actually, 9. I changed it to 9 so it'd actually make a keyframe. Then I'll change it back to 8. And then we'll just go forward maybe 2 frames or 3 frames. 1, 2, 3. And then blur radius will go to 0. So it's going to become really sharp. So apply. And we'll do the same with the background because it's out of focus. Click on that. And blur radius right now is 30, so I'll type in 31. Apply, so it adds the keyframe. Type in 30. I just want to go back to keep it the same. Go forward. 1, 2, 3. And then blur radius, we'll type in 0. So it goes from blurry to sharp. Now we just do the opposite for our character. So with my character selected, he doesn't have any blur on him because he's sharp, but we want it to have a start frame. So I'm going to type in 1, apply for the blur radius. Does he not have one? I don't think, maybe he didn't have one to begin with. Oh, allow animated layer effects was not turned on. So again, turn that on. And I just want to check. Okay, the way I'm checking to see if they line up is using one of the background. And Tugi. So blur radius is 0. Apply. Or wait, let's do 1. And apply. It's not doing it. Let's go back to frames. Let's go all the way back to the beginning. Make sure that Allow animated layer effects is on. It's on set at 0. And we're going to go to 228. 228. Blur radius. Put in 1, back to 0. I just need that starting frame. 1, 2, 3. Now the blur radius will blur our character, and we'll do 8 for him. And apply. So, doesn't look like anything happened. But let's go ahead and render from like 216 to 264. 216 to 264. I'm just call it laugh. So, what's going to happen, or what should happen, is that the camera focus is going to look like it swaps. So Pennywise is blurred in the background, and then in 1 second, the background and Pennywise come into focus. Alright, check that out. Perfect. So this is just a way to kind of recreate or simulate you know, real camera effects. We could actually even have it look like a shaky camera. So let's go ahead and put everything into a folder. Create a new one on frame 0. Oops, not a new vector. New folder. Group. I'll call it camera shake. Camera shake. We'll grab everything. And then go to frame 1. Click on our scene in the center. Right click, noisy. Turn the amplitude down, we'll do like 0.002. For the whole scene, not just our character. And you can see when I play it, the entire scene is actually shaking a little bit, which simulates the camera movement. So that's it. Obviously, this intro, I should have this entire animation on the front along with the original intro. So there should be 2 animations. But I'll go ahead and finish that out. I'm sure you guys have watched way too long. If you've watched all the way to the end, thank you so much. And also just want to let you guys know again, if you want to check out, you want to get one of my characters, you can go to Gumroad store. Link is in the description or right here. Or just there's free stuff on there too. So there is a free character for you to check out, some free effects for you to see. And yeah, that's it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below, and I'll see you next time.